My name is Piregashni, and I'm the oldest of 3 children and the only girl. I'm Sri Lankan, and my family came to Canada when I was about 5 years old, and moved to Regent Park shortly thereafter. The day that changed everything was October 20th, 1999. I was in grade 6. I had just returned from dance class, and my parents got into an argument about why I was going. It was one of the worst fights I've ever seen them have. It got out of control, and so my dad got fed up and took the dog out for a walk. He was gone for a long time, 2 or 3 hours. When he returned, he told me that he'd lost the dog, but she was with him, which was very strange. Suddenly, he fell onto the bed, saying he felt weird and that his whole body was numb. He kept making these movements with his hands. My mom was in the other room, still mad, and when I told her, she told me to leave him and go to bed, that he was just drunk. But I was freaking out, and so I decided to call the ambulance. Twice because they were taking so long. That was the worst night of my life. The ambulance came and they took him to the hospital, and my mom didn't call for the longest time. Finally, the phone rang, and she said my uncle was on his way to bring us to the hospital. We still didn't know what was happening. When we got there, I saw my mom crying, so hard she was hysterical. I've never seen her like that. It was crazy and it frightened all of us. I feel like that was the night I became the parent. I feel like I had to be strong for everyone. My mom is the greatest person in the world, but sometimes she becomes consumed by emotions and she lets it overcome her. I discovered that night that I know how to put my emotions aside and make the decisions I need in the moment. I remember that my uncle told me not to cry and to be strong for my family. I was only 11, but that's what I did. My dad had had a stroke. Eventually he stabilized, but he was never going to be the same. He can't walk on his own, and he has to take 1,000,000 pills a day to keep healthy. And his frustration at not being able to work and provide for the family caused him to be more and more angry. His stroke came with consequences for me as well. My life had taken a turn, and I found myself in a situation where I had to be very conscious of all my decisions, afraid that I was going to make things worse at home. Initially, I missed a lot of school. I was with my mom, translating for her, helping her stay calm and caring for my brothers who were only 9 and 6. Even after he was home, I would have to accompany him to all his appointments, and I often had to be his English voice, translating Tamil for him. Throughout my teen years, I wasn't allowed to do a lot of the normal social things that most teenagers do, like dating, going to the mall with friends, or even going to the movies. My parents wanted me to be near in case they needed me. This put me in a horrible corner, because in order to have any freedom to do any of the things that I wanted to do, I had to bend the truth. I didn't want to make them upset, and chance triggering another stroke. I don't like living like this. I'd much rather be honest, to live speaking my truth. Even now at 22, I'm in the same situation, living at home, afraid of how they're going to react. I often feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I know that a second stroke is usually worse than the first. I'm afraid that something I say or do is going to trigger another stroke. But that fear means I'm stuck living the way my parents want me to, and not living the way I choose.